What is up, everyone? Welcome. We're on day 4 of 30 Days of Death Shadow. Thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited for today. If you're new to the channel, you haven't seen the other videos, 30 Days of Death Shadow is my personal project for self-accountability and self-improvement. I've committed myself to playing and recording a League of Death Shadow for 30 days straight. Really is an effort to try to improve and try to be able to hone some skills, the many skills that are involved in playing Shadow decks. We started out on day 1, we played Grixis Death Shadow. Day 2, we played Jund. And yesterday, we played 4-color. And today, we're going to be playing Rakdos Shadow. Now, one thing quickly to say about Rakdos Shadow is that in a lot of ways, it's one of the more different Shadow builds than the other ones. In fact, some people don't even consider it really a Shadow deck because it's more of an aggressive Prowess / Scourge of the Skyclaves deck that gets to play Death Shadow because of a lot of its incidental damage that it deals itself. Otherwise, the game plan for this deck is a little more straightforward than we're going to see out of the blue-based Death Shadow builds. Because we have a pretty straightforward game plan of trying to deal direct damage to our opponent and get a Scourge online. In the meantime, we get to do a lot of disrupting with our 4th Thoughtseize and 2 Inquisition. We also get to play the full play set of Fatal Push and Dismembers. And, of course, we have our 4 Death Shadows and our Temur Battle Rages to help kill our opponent with our very large threats. We also, of course, get to play our Mishra's Bauble package because we get to play Luris as a sideboard companion. In the sideboard, we're running 3 Kozilek's Return because, just like all the other Shadow decks, the pro-black, pro-red creatures really give us a hard time. Soul Guide Lantern because we're going to need a lot of help to fight against strategies like Dredge. We have Kolaghan's Command. The Shatter effect might be relevant, also good for grindy matchups. Angrass Rampage, also an out to a variety of threats. It can be the Sacrifice an Artifact can be relevant if we're playing against Stoneforge Mystic builds. Sacrifice a creature can be relevant if we are having a hard time dealing with a threat. And then Sacrifice a Planeswalker might come up as well if we're expecting to play a longer, more grindy game against a control deck. We have an extra Kroxa, again, another really good, resilient, grindy threat against, heavy removal-based decks like, Black-Green, Midrange, or Jund, something like that. And we have the full 4 Cleansing Wildfire, because we are going to need a lot of help to try to slow down some Tron progressions. If there still is somehow some Oops All spells or any other MDFC-based decks as well, this helps fight it. So I'm super excited to jump in with this one. I have basically 0 to no experience playing this one because most of my experience is with the other more quote-unquote traditional Shadow builds. So I'm really excited to see how this goes in our league. I am not flying Soul this time. I'm really happy that Mike has returned, and also my good friend Guy is here to help us out as well. They're both just going to be chiming in, and I'll be probably asking them a lot of questions because I'll probably be lost in a lot of spots here. But with that being said, let's jump right into this league. And, let's see if we can make some good decisions and win some good games here. All right, so as we're waiting for our first match in this league, it's cool to see that the active players in the Modern Leagues is almost up to 1,000 now, which is pretty awesome. That's like a really great place to see Modern. And, Modern was there over 1,000 for quite a while, even during the era where there's a lot of Uro being played. But yeah, I think a lot of people have been enjoying this new Modern format. I certainly have. It's just super wide open. It feels like it's anyone's guess what you're going to play against. And so that's been really fun. So we won the die roll, which of course we're going to always want to take the play, as you will with the majority of matchups. So yeah, my first impulse is to keep this hand only because it kind of executes on the game plan we talked about, which is early threats dealing damage, followed up by Scourge of the Skyclaves. Now, we don't really have anything else going for this hand. What do you guys think of a hand like this? Do you think we need to mulligan for disruption? I don't think so, right? We can just stay pretty aggressive and assertive with threats.
I think on the play, this hand's great.
Yeah,
It's got some early enablers for Scourge.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get that online, you're just kind of like smooth sailing until you kill your opponent, but you're just jamming good threats very quickly.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree. Like you said, this deck's a lot different. More different than other traditional Shadow builds, where it's less about like disrupt, threat. Hope you carry the way. It's more about just jamming with threats.
Yeah, true. So we'll see what Mr. Social Soldier, or Mr. or Mrs. Excuse me, Social Soldier is on. Ooh, Blooming Marsh. Okay. Are we on Elves or Black Green? Okay, we're on Elves. Okay. All right, we'll see how this goes. Let me see. So if I attack and they block, I think that's pretty good for us. We can still play a Scourge. And then,
Super good.
yeah, I think we're super okay with that. So I'm just going to go ahead and attack first. And I'm not playing the Swift Spear because I think I just want to start landing some Scourges. A funny place... Wait, so Mike, you're going to have to help me with this one. What situation does your opponent's life and our life have to be at for a Scourge and a Battle Rage just to be lethal on its own?
So your opponent has to be at least 15 or lower life,
Okay.
and you have to be at 10 or lower.
Okay, cool, yeah. So
you want that first strike off the Scourge to be at least 5 damage to put them down to 10, and then once you're both at 10, that second strike will be enough to kill them.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, so definitely a reason to fetch shock each time because we're trying to lower our life total, try to set up for a lethal attack with the Scourge as fast as we can. If we draw another blank next turn, I'll probably just fetch shocking, just Scourge Swift Spear. But of course, we're going to see what they do and see what we draw. And it looks like they're waiting here. The new Elves deck is sweet, by the way. Yeah, so this is one of the cool new inclusions in the Elves deck. Whenever an Elf enters the battlefield, you create a 1/1, and it only triggers once each turn. So you can do it on your own turn, and then if you have, like, say, like a Collected Company or something on your opponent's turn, it triggers again when an Elf enters the battlefield. It's a pretty powerful card. Pretty cool situation here, of course, because now our Scourge is pretty well roadblocked. Unless we draw something here. Okay, we don't. I think I'm just going to empty my hand and then probably plan on the following turn to crack this Bomat Courier. So we're just going to fetch shock. We have one last Blood Crypt remaining in the deck. And I think I'm just going to try to play for the high upside. We are not winning any long game against Elves. We need to be the aggressor and kill them as fast as we can. Yeah, and I think if we attack with this, then they think they're pretty happy to block because they still have a lot of material to work with. I don't feel confident in attacking really this turn, so I'm going to go ahead and just pass. And notably... Oh, wait, that 3-drop elf only deals damage, right? It's not a drain, it doesn't gain them life?
Correct.
Okay. Because I was going to say, if it did drain, then it just kills off our Scourges, which is pretty funny.
If it drained, like, that card would be
Yeah.
even more ridiculous.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, that card would be nuts. Cool. Well, yeah, this is definitely the turn. Turn 3 here is where Elves are really going to go off. So we're going to make sure to F6, and we're going to see how much our opponent is able to pull off here.
That Well-Wisher card is not modern legal, is it?
It's not.
Alright, Nettle Sentinel's pretty good. Well, we did fade some of, like, the real true engine cards, but, I mean, the Stalemate, again, really favors them quite a bit. Let's see. So, I can fetch for a basic Swamp, and in doing so, I can see what's under the Bomat Courier. That's, like, a funny little thing. I think, since we've kind of bricked here, I think I am going to want to just go ahead and take a quick glance.
So
we can attack with both Bomat Couriers and just draw 4 cards.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I was thinking that same thing. What are you thinking about, Mike?
Checking out for a Battle Rage is really important here, because if you do happen to have one and you know about it, that can change up a lot of your lines really quickly.
Right.
But obviously, since you don't see a Battle Rage under there,
yeah,
you can narrow down what you're looking for a lot better.
Okay, so I see the Thought Seizes, I see the pushes, I see the bolts, I see this. We think there might actually just be lands under these creatures here. We have the Swift Spear on board. Yeah, it might actually just be lands. Do you notice anything, Mike? Because I'm just seeing all of our cards here.
Looks like there's a Scourge of the Skyclave. Or no, never
No,
mind.
yeah, we have 2.
Row.
Yeah.
So lands, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So yeah, it should just be 2 lands.
Okay, cool. Well, you know, That's how it goes sometimes. All right, I still would like to draw those cards because we need to. Well, is there any reason? I guess we need to see if we can. We're gonna try to see if these two cards from the attack are cards that are relevant. All right, so let me see if I can do this correctly. I haven't done this since like Kaladesh Standard. Okay, so wait, Mike, you hold Control, right? And then you click here.
Right.
Pay it. And then with this ability on the stack, I click here and pay it.
Right.
Okay, cool.
The discard's part of the paying cost.
Right, exactly. Okay, cool. I haven't done that one in a while. Okay, that's something. Okay, yep, here are all the lands. Very nice. You love to see it. I mean, I think I'm just going to wait with the Fatal Push. We don't have a way to trigger Revolt on their turn, which kind of is a bummer, but I don't know. I'm going to wait. Because I don't immediately see something that we can push that will, like, actually have an impact here.
I was gonna say, like, your best chance would be push a War Master, but because they have 8 other elves on the board, it means if they play the 3 mana lose life guy,
Yeah.
they make a token off of it,
Mm-hmm.
and then resolve the token and then the trigger, and it's still lethal.
Gotcha.
A lot of words to say that fatal push right there doesn't matter.
That's what I was. Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. Okie dokie. So, I guess unless our opponent is like is distracted, double queued something, then okay, never mind. I was about to say this is probably good for us to pause here, but all right. So let's see how they line up attacks, because excuse me, we can grow this Swift Spear to block something. So if we push the War Master, kill the other one, we are taking 5. And then we need to draw something like Lightning Bolt and Teamer Battle Rage and hope they don't block, or just something really wild like that. I guess I have 2 free blocks here, don't I? With just Scourges. And I think there's no reason really to take more damage. We don't have Shadows out. I don't really think... Yeah, I don't know if Shadow's ever going to be relevant here. So I think I'm going to put a Scourge on a token, Swift Spear on a War Master, push the other War Master. Prowess Trigger will let the Swift Spear survive and kill this.
I like it.
I'm going to go like that, and then I'm going to pass priority. Okay, they're paying cost. Oh, they're casting Collected Company. That makes sense. And they're probably looking for Lords to blow out our blocks here. And if they hit any Lords, I'll probably just scoop it up because I don't think, with all of our creatures dying from a Lord here, I don't really think we have outs. Right. Okay, looks like they hit this, which means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. In the words of Kami, we are aggressively dead. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next one. Sweet. Well, obviously we're super happy to have Kozilek's return in the sideboard. And then that is about all that I'm interested in from our sideboard. Yeah, the rest of these cards I don't think are going to help us in any meaningful way. This, obviously, Angrass Rampage looks really embarrassing when your opponent is flooding the board with a bunch of 1/1 tokens. Kroxa doesn't really seem to be playing much of a role here. Kolaghan's Command, its only thing as good as for its shock, and I think that's pretty underwhelming. But let's see what we would like to cut, and then we can make a more informed decision. Let's see. I kind of am wanting everything here, and I'm going to try to have an aggressive of a start as I can, I think. I feel, again, like I'm just not excited about Kroxa. I might not be excited about Dismember, because it's dealing a lot of damage to only answer a single elf may not be where we want to be. We want to just try to get in with K-Return. I guess Night's Whisper maybe is painful, but Night's Whisper seems just like a good card that's hard to sideboard out. We need our hand disruption, because to be able to take away Collected Companies and Realm Walkers, stuff like that, seem really important. Obviously, the Seal of Fire in the main is kind of sweet. If we get Lurrus into hand, then we can have a Punishing Fire effect with the Seal of Fire, and that seems very good. Yeah, what do you guys think? Any other strong feelings here about these?
So for me in matchups where my opponent's got an aggressive board of creatures, I'm really looking to trim on something like Bomat Courier.
Oh, that's a good point.
You're
That's a
really
good
likely
call.
to get that first attack in, and then it's just going to get stonewalled.
Yep.
Especially on the draw, but it does happen on the play as well.
Yep, good point. So maybe we just
especially now that
cut
they've started
Bomats.
adding things like the War Master to the deck.
Mm-hmm.
The likelihood of having just like 1 power, 1 toughness chump blockers and
Right.
2 mana 2/2s is so high.
That's a good point. And also, we're bringing K return, which will always kill our own Bomats, so that might be a thing. So I'm pretty happy with this configuration here. See how it goes. Game 2. Alright, let's take a look at our hand and reveal Lurrus as our companion. And this hand looks fabulous. We're going to go ahead and Swiss Spear. Next turn, we're going to Inquisition. Hopefully, we can do something else with our mana. Maybe if we draw like a Thoughtseize, we can help turn on our Death Shadow. Yeah, this hand looks great. And we, of course, have a really good card in Kozilek's Return here.
Elves.
Playing against Elves. So,
This is about as good of a hand as you can ask for.
I think so, yeah.
I guess the only thing that would make it better would be to draw Lightning Bolt next turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. So we could have double spell.
1 more level of interaction.
Right, bolt the bird, Inquisition them. Alright, that works too.
I guess.
If you insist.
Deck, I believe I said Lightning Bolt, but...
You know what? Sometimes...
Alright, I had to step away. How'd game 1 go?
Game 1, they got us pretty good. We just didn't draw much relevant interaction. I think we just take the Elvish Mystic here because it's the only thing that produces mana. I think that slows them down the most. Maybe if they go land, they go Heritage Druid. But if Heritage Druid, if they only had 1 Heritage Druid in hand, I would be tempted to take a Heritage Druid. So.
Do we want them to go? So if they play out the Elvish Mystic next turn,
Mm-hmm.
and the following turn they go like Heritage Druid, Diamond Sleep, do we not kind of want that?
That's
How
true.
crazy is it,
So,
like let them commit?
oh, okay. So take the Archdruid so to make sure our Cozy's Return can connect.
Yeah.
Well, the return is going to connect either way. Or no, never mind. It's
Well,
going to connect either way.
Think
Maybe they
about
hit Lord.
worst case scenario here. If
Mhm.
you take Archdruid and they go second land, Mystic, Heritage Druid, and then the following turn go Dwynen's Elite, now they have company mana up.
Right.
And you didn't get a point that you really wanted to resolve that K return.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps you could with like the Dwynen's Elite trigger on the stack, but I do think that letting them run that out like gives the highest upside of K return, but it also has the highest risk of letting them get this company off.
I mean,
Personally, I would. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, so no, I didn't mean to interrupt. I would just say that, I mean, if they do hit land and go Elvish Mystic Archdruid, we still have an entire turn's worth of window to K return.
Well, you don't if you go to the next turn, because like you're not K returning for just Elvish Mystic and a Heritage Druid, but if the next turn they get who cast Dwynen's Elite, trigger resolves, now they've got 3 mana off the Heritage Druid, Dwynen's Elite, and token plus a 4th for the Mystic, and they can cast the company from that point on. So it does get a little
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
iffy.
I think I'm going to go ahead and just take the Mystic. I want to go with my first impulse of trying to slow them down the most. And we just have this K return here, and we can take decisions here on the next turn based on what they if they hit the land or not and what they play out. Excuse me. Okay, so they just top decked another Mystic, which I think is actually pretty fine for us because then that means their turn is just the same thing, but yeah, we get to have an additional turn to play a Death Shadow, grow the Shadow out of the Kozilek's Return range, and then attack. Yeah, so we're just going to go ahead and fetch Shock so that we can have a 2/2 Shadow. We want a Shock and Blood Crypt for a 4/4 Shadow. And then let's see, we would be hitting for 6 next turn, down to 9 if we were to K return and get that Prowess trigger. I do not.
So I guess our hope is that they don't draw land. They just go like Heritage Druid, play up
Mhm.
the Winding Sleep.
Yeah.
Just didn't know if they had if they had seen it like previous game.
Gotcha.
I guess.
No, it's just game 2.
Gotcha. Well, you know they didn't draw it in the wax. They just protected that for that.
Yeah, right.
Obviously,
Yeah.
just
I think to me, if they didn't hit the second land and they just play like second Heritage Druid here, this is snap off K
pretty,
command
yeah,
or
pretty.
K return.
Oh, they've dismember.
They have dismember.
Interesting. Excuse me. Okay. Making sure. In that case, can we risk not firing off the K return here? Because I want to see if we can put Lurrus into hand.
I think so. Well, ooh. So you're saying not even hold up K return?
Right. We just go shields down and put the Lurrus into hand.
Like the big downside.
At risk giving them
is-
Cocoa mana.
Well, they have to draw another land for that.
Right.
Right.
Because as it stands, they cannot
okay.
cast the Cocoa.
You're right.
They would have to have land or yeah. I mean that's really just it.
Yeah. So I'm definitely either way. We're casting the Swiss
Well,
Spear.
It would be land orchided.
So maybe the idea though is that there's really no downside or risk to just K returning right now, and then we just get for 4 to 7, and then next turn we can put in the Lurrus into hands.
Well,
Sure.
There's,
Yeah, there's like a 1 mana.
Yeah.
Mess 'em up.
Yeah. I think there's just no risk here, so there's just no reason to probably get cute.
No, you say I think we were all thinking too hard.
Yeah, and that was actually pretty cool. That it was something that Mike and I were talking about last night, or at least Mike was mentioning, like about just being a lot more straightforward with your plays and not trying to get too cute, because like sometimes you can get to a point with playing a deck where you're overthinking things so hard that you're actually just taking really bad lines as opposed to the straightforward right one. And I think honestly, Mike said that and it really hit home for me because I was like, damn, that's probably a lot of what I do. All right, well we're pretty secure here. Pretty awesome. Just draw the other K return. So yeah, a little whitelist energy. Got to have some whitelist energy to make it through a couple games of Magic, of course. But all right.
I can't tell you how many times I've been like playing Burn or something. And I'll sit there with the lightning bolt in hand. My opponent is at 3 or less. I'm like, well, they could have this.
Yeah, right.
I'm sitting there thinking after like 2 minutes, I've had on go, dude, if you're at bolt, I'm just gonna concede.
Yeah. That's pretty funny.
I don't think they should cast the Elite there, honestly. I would mainly just go for max upside Druid.
Yeah.
I guess being at 5, it's just dead.
Well, they just conceded. Okay, cool. They saw we drew the bolt. No, I'm just kidding.
Sniping.
I know,
Ben's
right?
Over there playing Elves.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, I guess he's stream sniping. He's on his alt. All right, so on the draw, Bomat Courier is seems like even more of a less appealing of a top deck, but I don't know if anything else here is better. Any thoughts, Mike? Or anyone else?
Guys,
Sorry,
call me
everyone
on
else.
being sneaky over here.
You're pretty right. Like Bomat Courier is worse on the draw, but you have already cut 3, so I
Yeah.
wouldn't be
Okay.
I wouldn't be too opposed to keeping the 4th, because you're kind of assuming that if your opponent is playing a turn 1 mana dork, they're likely not blocking with it on that turn 1.
Right.
So if you do happen to have like a Bomat Courier in your opening hand, it's not the worst thing in the world.
So I think this hand's really fantastic. This really gives us a shot to potentially punch through an explosive start from our opponent, given that we have double shock land and a dismember. So that's 4, 6, 8 damage. It's already bringing our shadow to 11. We can bolt ourselves if really, really need be. But hopefully we just take damage just naturally through the course of the game, and then we can bring it home with Team of Battle Rage.
TBR kind of seems like the best card in the deck.
Yeah. Well, against them. Yeah. Well, yeah. K return too, yeah.
Hands like this, a big thing to consider is dismember is often. I know it's straightforward when you think about it, is dismember being a removal spell and a pump spell at the same time, but the surprise damage off of dismember
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
can also often be more impactful.
Yep.
So if you're able to lead with things like those lightning bolts as removal spells, if you're not getting your shadow online quick enough, and give yourself a couple extra draws to just naturally get it online with like fetch lands and things like that, thought seizes,
Mm-hmm.
then that battle or that dismember battle rage kill out of nowhere can be a lot
Yeah.
more influential.
So this could be total nonsense. Our opponent paused for a really long time and then kept. So I'm just gonna bolt this because I'm feeling that my intuition is telling me that they have a hand really dependent on the druid. And I don't want to go with the Swiss Spear and they go Dwynen's Elite, have 3 elves, and then tap it all and put a lord out because I think that's really bad. So I think I'm going to go ahead and take the tempo negative play here for a potential high upside of really crippling our opponent on their progression.
I agree.
I like it.
Oh, yeah, they had another druid. Okay. In that case...
How do you feel about Swiss Spear Dismember?
Yeah, I was going to say this. I was actually going to suggest the same one. Kind of for this similar reasoning as last turn.
Also could have gone Dismember into Shadow.
Mm-hmm.
I think Swiss Spear Dismember is fine because you really want to start getting some damage in.
Yeah. Especially if we start top decking Scourge of the Skyclaves or something like that. Cool, alright, we're out of our disruption opponent. Let's see how much we were able to really hamper their progression. But Heritage Druid's a big one to take. Yeah, look at that. We got super, super rewarded for our lines there. So... No...
Think about this one.
Yeah, no, well, I was just going to mention that Shocking and Blood Crypt or playing Sunbait Canyon both don't play around Dismember for our Shadow. So I think I'm going to go Canyon first, and then cast a Swift Spear off of it.
But I think opponent is probably holding Dwynen's Elite.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to get the upside off of it.
Right. Okay.
Which I think
So
in this
now,
situation is kinda
damage
fine.
output, let's think we've got 3, 4, 5. Oh, wow. Our opponent, this is, yeah. I think your read is correct. Alright, Bolt. Alright, that's actually pretty darn good. So we can cast this, get that prowess trigger. Okay, so now if I shock, it becomes 4. Now it's a 5-5. And that would be 3-6. That would be exactly lethal. So I think we're just going to go for lethal. Unless, can you guys think of a card that breaks us up? Our opponent conceding broke it up, so I guess there's that.
I would have said just Dismember.
Yeah.
Dismember on the Shadow. but
Dismember on the
we-
Shadow, okay.
Even then,
Yeah, we're pretty happy with that, right?
We're taking at least 8
Mm-hmm.
there, 4 off the Dismember, and
Yep.
or 2 off the Dismember and 4 off the Swift Spears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. Well, that was. I'm really happy with our decision there with the bolt and the dismember. I think that really paid off. So.
I agree.
Yep.
I think it was a really good lead on them playing out the Heritage Druids first,
Mm-hmm.
being pretty critical to their hand.
Mm-hmm. All right. Cool. Matt, have you played that matchup much? Do you know how that matchup tends to go?
I haven't played the matchup much as far as like I've played maybe 2 to 3 matches in leagues.
Mm-hmm.
I did play against Mike last night. I think you were on Jund, right, Mike?
I was
Or
on
Four Color?
Grixis.
Okay, yeah. But from what Mike was telling me, it's a relatively rough matchup for the Shadow side.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's a little bit better for Rakdos because you have a lot more of those tempo-oriented hands where you can have like 1 drop into removal on 2, removal on 3.
Mm-hmm.
But with like Grixis, you're really wanting to tap out for a threat on turn 2 if you've got one, and that going shields down on the 3 drop or the Collected Company turn is a lot tougher.
So this hand, yeah, that totally makes sense. This hand I think I'm going to keep because I think the upside's really, really high on this one. We hit a second fetch land, and I think we have an extremely strong hand. I don't know what we bottom though, because like I kind of want to keep these thought seizes to help turn on the Shadow, but I'm not sure yet.
is it just Scourge since we only have 1 enabler?
Mm-hmm. It might be, yeah.
But what another thing I was gonna
Let's try that. See what happens.
Not going for what opponent had, but if they had a pretty quick Realm Walker or Lead the Stampede, that could have been pretty rough. But if they had kept a hand with a mana dork in it, it could have been a little bit better.
Gunshot incoming.
I think they or like an actual mana dork other than.
Oh my gosh. Well, we get to continue the conversation.
Oh, man.
Alright, so Scourge was a really good bottom, I think.
Agreed. Yeah. Alright, I think if we hit second land next turn, I think we're in pretty good shape. The reason I pushed the Llanowar Elves, I probably should have slowed down. I pushed the Llanowar Elves is because I was worried about Thought Seizing and seeing multiple threats they could cast, and that being a big problem. And watching Matt here play this deck quite a bit, there's a lot of one-landers this deck keeps. Wow, did we just
100%
bolt?
killed this one.
Yeah, this
the
one.
War Master, it's proven itself to me at least to be possibly the best card in the deck outside of like Shaman and Go-Go.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, 17 more turns of this, and we're kind of getting there.
Hey, 16. All right, second land's really great for us. Let's see. So if I Thought Seize, I go to 15. I can fetch Shock down to 12 to play a 1/1 Shadow. So I'm going to Thought Seize to give us that option available to us if we need to do that. Okay. Ooh, Visionary. Huh.
Nice.
So what happens if we let them Shaman us and we just take both Visionaries? Thought Seize will go to 15. If we fetch and don't shock, we just go to 14. Shaman puts us to 10. If I fetch shock, then that would put us to 8. So that's something we can let them do, but that means I need to like be confident I'm going to draw into like a Teamer Battle Rage or something. Like Visionary seems annoying, right? Like just the redraws.
Outside of this, any chance you could ask your opponent to send you his deck list?
Oh yeah, I'll make sure to do that. Yeah. Any thoughts here, Mike? I'm trying to piece together if that's worth it, or should we just take the obvious pick of Shaman?
I think it is. I think I would just take both of the Visionaries, but
Okay.
maybe like fetch up a basic Swamp and Thought Seize the second one.
Okay.
Instead of going all in.
Yeah, I gotcha. Thought Seize or Inquisition?
If you think they're for sure going to fire off this Shaman, then Inquisition. If you think that there's a chance they... Well, I guess if they don't, you can Thought Seize next turn.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Inquisition's fine. Yeah.
And also on the off chance, and well, it feels like the certain chance that they'll top deck a Collected Company, then we can save the Thought Seize. Maybe if something works out, we can snipe a Collected Company. So the nice part is if they hold back, then we just get to Thought Seize the Shaman anyway, play the Shadow. So, alright, so we know that their draw was. I wonder if they're supposed to crack first, in case there was something... Because this is great as like a finishing off touch, you know. Just attack. Do I block the Mana Dork? Or do I want to crack this? I think I need to crack this for the cards, right?
I agree.
Yeah. Alright, Lightning Bolt?
Like this turn, you get to play out your Shadow, plus have like
Yeah, we can play
Bomat,
Shadow.
Block, Crack available.
Right. That's pretty good. Alright, opponent. It's a good one. We take 4, we go to 2.
A little hesitant on that attack.
From them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm just doing block crack, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So we gotta find us a Teamer Battle Rage.
Jesus Christ.
Didn't yield through my turn. I almost did. Okay, that was interesting from them. Yeah.
So yeah, that attack from their side, if we had the battle rage, they weren't dead staying back,
Yeah.
but they were
Gotcha.
dead if they attacked and didn't kill us. That's
Okay,
why I was saying I
gotcha.
thought that was a little bit of an awkward attack, especially when they had a redraw off the peat land.
Right. Right. That it did feel a little bit reckless for sure. And they went to the attack really quickly, so maybe they were just wasn't on their radar too much.
Right.
Yeah. Well, definitely in my league so far, my experience. I know it's funny. It feels like everyone has their own experience with what they're facing a lot. I've been facing off almost mono tribal decks in my leagues, which I think is cool. Like I love playing with and against tribal decks, so I think it's pretty exciting. I know, right? Yeah, like yesterday my league was literally. Wait, it was Goblin Spirits and oh no, not a tribal deck, but an Ether Vial deck in Heliod. And then yeah, and now just double Elves to start us out.
Well, I was looking at Drowsy Tron because Liquid Truth is $85.
Whoa, that's a lot of money. Yeah, this hand seems fine. We unfortunate draw our only Bomat Courier, but I love that we have double disruption and a Swiss Spear, so we're gonna give this one a shot. Our opponent also mulligans.
So I know you said Butcher Truth is how much?
$85.
Holy cow, I have so many of those cards. Well, I think I have like 5. That's awesome.
Okay, we got Forest Pass, which is really good for us, because that just means we just get to land the Swiss Spear. And then if they play only a single creature next turn, then we get to go second Swiss Spear Fatal Push. So that's pretty great for us here. Alright, opponent paused for a second there. I don't know if that means anything, or they just were... Okay, it doesn't mean anything. Sometimes opponents having weird pauses at certain moments in your games can give away some information. Okay, Heritage Druid. Okay, they must have top decked that. So this is exactly what we wanted. We just get to go second Swiss Spear into Fatal Push. Oh wow, we got another one. So we just Rakdos prowess out here, boys.
I think that's the half of the deck that's good against Elves.
Right, it definitely feels that way.
Veil.
Yeah.
Oh no.
That pause makes sense then, yeah. See, the pause, it always means something. But we're still attacking. Thankfully, in a deck like ours, like, Veil could certainly win them the game in this spot, but thankfully in a deck like ours, Veil of Summer is not nearly as devastating when you're playing a deck like Jund or something where, our deck can take such an aggressive posture that something like Veil, the tempo swing that they did from taking a turn off to hold up Veil might end up costing them the game here. If we hit a land, I think I'm just going to Kozilek's Return because this is a huge mana generation sink, so... And I think cutting them off of that is really important. Okay, so we don't have a way to trigger Revolt. But we can go third Swiss Spear attack. And if there's some reason they lose their minds and block, we can just push the Heritage Druid. Regardless, I think I am pushing the Heritage Druid, though, before damage.
I like it.
Okay. And... Cool, we have them at 9. So if we hit the land, K return will make these all 2, 4, 6. We'll put them to 3. But yeah, I mean, they definitely can go off here. Like, something like a Collected Company here, hit a bunch of good spells. So they definitely still have a lot of potential here. They still could definitely have Coco here. Yep, looking like it. Yep. Sometimes you can just call it because you've played on MTGO so much, you know exactly how things roll. So now, cross our fingers for no lords and cross our fingers for third land. Cool. Well, that's really, really good. So, but again, if we fade a lord and hit a land, then it's just going to be absolutely explosive here. For anyone who's not familiar, Realm Walker's really sweet card. an incredible card in this deck. Basically lets you just get to play creatures of the chosen type from off the top of the library. So of course they pick Elf, and then the Heritage Druid Realm Walker loop. Not like a loop, but oh wow, we got pretty lucky. It looks like they bricked on something. So if we hit a land here, I think the game just ends.
So we left with just Realm Walker.
Realm Walker, yes. So we hit a Dismember, which means I want to... Okay, so...
Like worth it to take 3, hit the Elvish Archdruid.
So if we hit the Archdruid... Because I'm wondering if we can go Force Swift Spear attack with all.
I wonder if hitting Realm Walker is better. Like, passing turn on their upkeep, hit Realm Walker, you get the prowess triggers, you know that they bricked because they didn't play anything, so you don't really care about the extra mana, but you get to grow the Swift Spheres past, like, the Elf token, the Mystic, and the Druid.
Cool.
Okay.
So...
Spear in that case if we do draw land.
So, Mike, your suggestion is to just play Swift Spear and pass and not attack?
I don't even think play Swift Spear. Like, you can make the attack, but if you do and you're not presenting lethal, then there's a good chance you could just die on the crackback. Because you're looking at, like, if you kill the Realm Walker, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, plus any life you have to pay for Dismember would be lethal. But if you just pass as is on their upkeep, Dismember the Realm Walker, then you give yourself a chance, assuming they saw something dead on top, you give yourself the chance to go to your turn, draw for turn, hit land, Kozilek's return their entire board away, and get in for 6.
So if I do Swift Spear, I'll be dismembering myself down to 9, and then I'll have 3 toughness blockers, and I can block boom, 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 and I'd be only taking 5. So I think it's free to play the Swift Spear, right? Swift Spear pass, and then dismember on upkeep.
I think I like playing the Swiss Spear.
Yeah, I think so too, right, Mike? Because we just want to go for the highest upside if we hit this land. Or is there something big that we're missing?
I mean, hitting the land isn't, or playing the extra Swift Spear now is not changing the clock if you hit the land. It's still going to be 2 turns of attacks, whether you hit the land or you don't.
Okay.
So then
Fair
it
enough.
comes down to, is the 2 life that you're saving off of not casting the
that's
Swift
fair.
Spear worth it?
That makes sense. So this dismember's cost me 3 life to take to 10. If I dismember this swing with everything, they could just say, we take it. They take 6 to 3. And then if we're at 10, then they have 3, 5, 8, 10, 12. So I don't think I have an attack. I can attack with like 1 creature, but that doesn't seem to be accomplishing that much.
Right. I don't think you're attacking if you're playing a Dismember on their upkeep.
Gotcha. This is a really cool line that I actually just literally did not see at all on this Realm Walker here. And also passing to do on upkeep to get the prowess triggers so that we can have effective blockers is a pretty sweet play here. I guess they could have had Coco on top, which either way we played this, I don't think we're beating.
Right.
And so hopefully they just have bricked on a land. Because this says, look at your card, cast creature spells of chosen type. Yeah, so it's a non-elf, meaning it could be like Lead the Stampede, Collected Company, or land, or maybe Dismember. Okay, we just take this, I think. Yeah, we just take this. All right, we got to channel that Whitelist energy for that 3rd land for sure. Oh, a Scavenging Ooze. Okay, so that will survive the K return. That's a good card. For sure. Yeah, so we're going to have to... Okay. So they are out of creatures to eat, meaning that they're not going to gain any more life. So if I Scourge, I'm at 6. I have 4 blockers. If they attack, we can chump the biggest ones, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. We would go down. Okay. So yeah, I think we're playing out the Scourge.
Right.
I guess the positive side of this game is just the fact that, like, I mean, we've essentially had them dead to a land, meaning that, oh, they're just gonna eat everything. Yeah, that's fair. Which just means that, given that we 2-0'd our first Elves opponent, and now here we have had them dead to a land for about 3 turns now, or 2 turns rather, it just says a lot about our positioning against this deck. So that's good to know. So yeah, we do need a fade here for sure. Hopefully they don't draw anything too serious. Okay, looks like they've elected not to attack. All right, wow. So if I play both these creatures, play both the Swift Spear,
Swift Spear.
just Swifty.
Hold the line.
Okay. Okay, 2 mana. Shaman of the Pack will kill us. All right, GG's opponent. Let's see. What do we have? The land coming? No, it was not. It was not meant to be.
Oh man.
Very much not meant to be for us to hit the 3rd land. So what are you gonna do if that doesn't happen? I don't. That doesn't reflect on the deck or the matchup or our decision making. So yeah, we'll just run it back and feeling a lot more confident on the play. Our opponent showed the willingness to sacrifice tempo to try to gain card advantage with Veil Summer, and I think they're showing that they're willing to do that in this matchup. I think is really good for us. Hopefully they'll make similar tempo negative plays, and that will really favor us here. So this definitely illustrates the downside of Scourge here. We're up against an opponent who's not guaranteed to deal damage to themselves. If they were, this hand would be total fire, but since it's not, I think we have to mulligan this one. We need something more aggressive. We really need to put them on the back foot. This hand does that, which is great. In fact, I think I'm just going to bottom Death Shadow, so we can just go Swift Spear into Scourge if we need to be. Actually, this is tough, because maybe we just don't need
You
Bobble.
have quite a bit of life damage to yourself, though, here.
Yeah.
I think bottoming Shadow is fine because having a Scourge out on turn 2, getting
Right.
up to turn 3 is like a 6/6, 7/7, but only having to go down to 14, 13 life
Right.
is better in the long run than having to go down to 6, 7 life for the same size Shadow.
Right.
Nice.
Definitely would agree there. Alright, we know about a Dwinnen's Elite coming off the top. Hopefully no Heritage Druid. Okay.
That's a good job.
I kind of now I'm just into basic Swamp, Fatal Push, Thoughtseize, and then hit for 3, and then we next turn Scourge.
I think I'm more into Scourge this turn. Well, I guess with the Dwinen's Elite, it might change up a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
You
Yeah,
can
that's probably
you
fine.
can always Thoughtseize first and judge when you can cast the push. If you Thoughtseize and see like no other land, you can
Just push now.
How do I say that?
Mm-hmm. No, I understand what you're saying.
If you see a better possible play, then you can take that and
Yeah.
make them.
Yeah, so we're taking.
the
I'm
back
taking
play,
the Mystic.
casting the elite, pushing the Elvish Mystic.
I think I'm taking Mystic, pushing Mystic, right? Like Visionary's annoying, but that just seems like the best upside, right?
It's
I
the
think so.
highest tempo play for sure.
Yeah, we're just going with
And
that.
I think
When he's flat, right?
seeing the Elvish Visionary makes you want to push this now
Right.
instead of because it's unlikely that they're going to cast the Dwinen's Elite.
Yeah, if they hit the
Now.
lands. Mm-hmm. All right, well they hit it, so
Might not matter, but we might have wanted to use flats there because the Mire could grab mountain if needed.
definitely. Well, we got the insurance plan here, so yeah.
Just easy windmill slam a scourge.
Yep. You got that badonkadonk, that's for sure.
So, it is important to point out last turn if you had fetch and shocked for the thought seize and the push, then it would give you an out of top decking of battle rages next turn for lethal.
That's true.
Interesting.
Here, so I'm just gonna take my draw step then because we want to fetch shock anyway.
Yeah,
Okay.
you want to get that prowess.
Right. So I'm just gonna fire off the K return because we're just gonna put them so far behind. Put them down to 6.
I'm on abyss mode every turn.
Right. I mean, they have to hit. They would have to hit the 4th land in a row, then to Collected Company to get back in it, in my opinion.
They have effectively 2 dead cards, which is sweet.
Mm-hmm.
The elite's not
All right.
technically dead.
So they kept a really greedy hand and went land, land, land. So, you know, I mean, what are you going to do about that?
Sure.
Not a lot. I think I'm happy just... Ooh, what am I happy with doing here?
So why wouldn't why wouldn't you play Swifty?
Yeah, we're definitely playing Swifty. Am I attacking with all 3, though? I think so.
I mean, you have a pretty...
The
you
upside, I think, is really high.
I was kind of thinking leave the 2 Swiss Spears back just to hit the Scourge. Because the Scourge is a must block, which means they're only going to have 1 creature going into their turn.
But then that means an extra damage
fine.
because if they tap the peatland, they go to 5. And if they don't hit a elf that makes more tokens, then they go to 4. And I
Like
think I like
saying,
that spot better, right?
Saying only 1 blocker going into their turn is not giving enough credit to the number of like Dwynen's elites and War
Yeah.
Masters and things the deck's playing
Like,
now.
Elvish Warmaster into Elvish Warmaster makes 4 blockers.
Mm-hmm. I think if they didn't have the peatland, I might be tempted to hold back. But I think we're just trying to put maximum damage on them as we can. Okay, that's pretty good. So they can go token here, eat. Yeah, alright. Well, our opponent drew exceptionally off a 1-lander, so there's not much you can do about that.
God,
They're
are you?
still not-
Are we spalting off on Pat now or are we waiting for it?
They're still not out of it, though.
What was that, guy?
I was just messing around. I said, are we salting off in chat now or waiting for a little longer?
We're waiting for them to cast the second company.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, why you guys say that?
What it really should be just casting the top card is library.
Unless it's a blank. But they have, I think they have the second elite. Yeah, they have a second elite in hand, which is just 2 more chump blockers for our Scourge. So yeah, I think our, yeah, I mean, you know, we need to top deck them back in return. So we need stuff like Kozilek's Return, Teamer Battle Rage, even a removal spell to force some better blocks here. So they drew another Collected Company. Wow, that's pretty incredible. I mean, we're at 11, which means that if we attack with both, and they have ways of just chumping with just random dudes, then they can just shaman us to kill us, probably. But I don't see a world where we don't attack here.
Yeah, I think attack 2 Scourge is
ship
Swift
1.
back.
Yeah. And we're not going to play the Swift Spear so that they have to play around it a little bit. Sorry, that they maybe will make worse decisions trying to get greedy. But yeah, another Collected Company. That's pretty awesome for our opponent here. But again, like, I think this speaks really well for the matchup. I mean, our opponent literally went triple land into double Coco. I mean, is there much that you can really do about that? I don't think so. given the contents of our hand, and I think that speaks well to the matchup in general. Yeah. Wow.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah, it always feels bad to lose in this kind of a way, but, you know, it is what it is. So they should just put Dwinnen's Elite and a token in front of it, in front of our 2 attackers, rather. And then we're going to play our Swift Spear, and then we're going to really just try to cross our fingers. I really hate these blocks. Yeah, I don't think they should do this. I think they just need to chump, and then they're going to untap with a lot of mana with the Archdruid and the Realm Walker. Yep, there they go. They put it together.
Yeah, I think we're just dead though, right? We don't have the Dwyer's Elite in hand.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's pretty rough.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty used to this on MTGO, honestly, so there's nothing you can do about it. So, you know, we just got to keep trucking. Just go on to the next game, tell our opponent GG's, move on.
Are we completely dead here? I don't think so.
No, we're dead because if they go elite 2 tokens, shaman. Oh well, I guess if they miss a land, they can't elite plus shaman. So they'd have to tap the Archdruid, or elite plus
No, they attack
shaman
him.
plus lethal.
That does.
Yeah.
So it's 1, 2,
So we're
3, 4, 5,
functional
6,
8,
7,
and they
8.
can elite plus shaman off this Archdruid, which is 9 or 8. Yeah.
Well, we did have our... Was that in the... No, that was in the Jun League last night. Our opponent missed lethal a couple times in a row, so you never know. You never know. Crazier things have happened.
We've always got match 3 against the next Elves player.
Try to keep us with a positive record against Elves overall. We play Elves 3 more times in a row.
Like, splitting with Elves is still positive for us because it's not a good matchup by any stretch of the imagination.
Do you think it might be a good matchup for this Rakdos build, though? Because I agree on Grixis Shadow, it's really rough. You know, you got a lot of the... You got the 3 colors, so you got a lot of unnecessary damage that you're taking. I don't know why they're just wasting our time right now. Like, dude, just kill us. But, like, you think this matchup is maybe a little bit, you know, different?
Better, yes. Good, no.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. Took our opponent a little too much time to put that one together, but I'm glad we get to move on from that. That was
you
ridiculous.
see how much those games, all 3 of them, revolved around Battle Rage and Kolaghan's command, or Kozilek's return.
Return, yeah,
Correct.
for sure.
And that's a total of 5 cards out of our post-board 60. So if you don't see one or the other, the likelihood of winning is pretty much negligible. And I think that's enough to make it an unfavorable matchup.
Gotcha.
It's just that the odds of seeing those cards are about 50-50 over the course of an opening hand.
And I mean, I think that's a reasonable way to put it, but I also want to put it another way of, like, that second game, if we had landed any time, we would have won. And that third game, if they had missed a land at any time, we would have won. So maybe that was just the variance of that particular, that particular match, but yeah.
Right, but like that second game, we would have won if we had a land because of Kozilek's return.
No, yeah, for sure.
Specifically.
But if, you know, I think having 5 cards that are just slam dunk wins in a matchup, you know, in a 60-card deck, you're going to see at least one of those 5 cards pretty frequently. I mean, your odds are pretty high there. Out of, like, an opening 7 and then maybe, you know, reasonably 4 or 5 draw steps after that. All right. So, MTGO is preparing our next Elves opponent. Matt maybe needs to queue up into a league because we're not getting paired with anyone, so they're waiting for an Elves player to queue up into a league. So maybe Matt needs to jump onto MTGO right now so we can get our next opponent.
I'll go load up Bandstone Play. Give me a second here.
Exactly right.
Just a very limited buddy.
This is really surprising, especially with 930 active players. Oh, last time this happened is because my internet may have had some issues, so let me reconnect my internet. I think that fixed it last time. So restarted my internet, and yeah, we'll see what goes on it. Let's see if it helps it. But yeah, it was weird because the other day, or no, it was yesterday for my first round. I waited this long. I had never waited this long, and now I've never waited more than 3 minutes for a modern league to pair or modern match to pair. So let's see if that breaks. Because usually when I queue up for modern, people are ready to rock and roll. But let's see. Oh, all right. 3 minutes, eh?
Could always help to cancel and re-queue.
Okay, I'll try that.
I am in queue also, so if we both get paired at the same
Are
time,
you playing Elves though?
I am. If we both get paired at the same time, and
Oh,
you
no.
want to play against Elves again, or do you want to?
It doesn't matter now. You're good.
That's hilarious.
You're good. It might even be funnier for the video if we get queued up against each other, and then yeah, we can we'll just play Elves 3 times.
That'll be a good title for the video. Elves 3 times in a league.
3 times in a league.
Water?
Tier 0 broken. Should Realmwalker be banned?
That's great.
Is it time to ban Guilt Leaf Palace?
Is it time to ban Guild Leaf
I was about to
Palace?
say that. I can't remember the name of the card.
Is it time to ban my opponent's draw steps?
Perfect mana be allowed in modern?
Oh man.
A deck that consistently wins with only 1 land?
What? Question mark, question mark, question mark?
He had 30 mana on turn 3, but we still won.
You still won. This combo puts Eye of Ugin to shame. All right, this is kind of getting ridiculous now. We're going on 5 minutes without being queued up.
In modern?
That's wild.
Oh man.
There's some fear for this list.
Yeah, you know what? Word got out. They're like, uh-oh, that Rakdos Shadow list. He's the only one playing it. We gotta. Oh man. Yeah, this is crazy. I've never ever waited this long for a modern match to queue up.
I've seen one take this long.
Yeah, no. It's got to be. I do wonder if it's on my end because sometimes my internet's really bad.
I was trying to queue at the same time, but it's not working for me either.
Huh. Is there maybe a MTGO issue? Let me check Twitter.
All right, so I got our last opponent.
Oh, here we go.
List, and that's not me that you're queued against.
Okay.
So
Had to double check
opponent
here.
was
Ooh, Jose.
playing, 3 Leyline of Vitality in the sideboard.
Very interesting.
That
Very
could have been pretty rough against you if they brought it in.
Hmm.
That gives all their creatures +0/+1.
Hmm. Right. Play around Kozilek's return.
It's relatively stock, 2 visionary, medicine.
What's trickery post ban?
Hacking MTGO to play Tybalt's Trickery.
Trickery unbanned? Question mark? Question
Hopefully we see a mana dork here, and then that way we can play our Death Shadow. Elves? No,
Come on.
Elves doesn't play
Come
when Sophie
on.
okay. That's pretty funny. Okay, let's see. So if we fetch shock to 14, we can just play the Sunbay Canyon. So Forest Search for tomorrow, I think we're just straight racing. Like, I don't think I need to save this bolt. I mean, I guess, yeah, it's not hitting a Dryad. So I think we're just going to try to put as much damage on our opponent as we can here.
Still playing fast mana.
So, I should have not spaced out there. With land search for tomorrow, pretty much Scape Shift is the only thing on your mind there. Fetch Shock, Bolt Yourself, Shadow gets the Prowess trigger, lets you get the Shadow on board, as well as giving you the ability to dismember your own Shadow on the next turn, to possibly have lethal the turn after.
Gotcha. Sure. And we're going to do this funny thing where we tap out, since we didn't do the thing that Mike said, and we'll just pass turn.
Yeah.
All right, so we have 4 damage here, 5 damage here, so we have 2 6/6 shadows going into the next turn. Let's see what our opponent has. 1, 2, 3, 4. They have a Dryad. I hope they don't have a Valakut. They have a Bolt. Okay. If they have a second Bolt, that'd be pretty sad. They do not. So, okay, the Bomat Courier is kind of cool. Just lets us empty out our hands and can get things rocking and rolling. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if they hit land next turn, they can't Scape Shift us yet. They can cast a Primeval Titan, but so if they cast a Primeval Titan, if I dismember this now, this is 5 damage, so they're taking 6, 8, 9. And then these won't quite. I can't speak right now. I'm too flustered. Both of my little creatures won't be able to kill them next turn if they cast a Primeval Titan. But any card that triggers Prowess will do that. All right, that was a big struggle, but I'm glad we got through it. So
if they
got
don't
there in
have
the
a
end.
land,
I know, right?
They
That's what
can't
matters.
activate Valakut next turn.
Gotcha. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, Valak. Yeah, maybe that's a thing. Okay, cool. So they just don't have anything. So. Cool. Here's a matchup I'm a little bit concerned about with how our sideboard's constructed, because I just don't really see us having that many good cards here. I don't know if Croaks
You don't have that many good cards, but you do have a very good ability to race.
Yeah, true. Croxa feels too slow. Kolaghan's Command also feels too slow. I mean, these attack their hand, but I don't think in this kind of a deck we need to be doing that. So think I'm just resubmitting. I mean, the Fatal
I would likely
pushes...
bring in like a Kolaghan's Command over something like a Fatal Push.
Yeah, sure.
Because part of our primary game plan here is hitting hand disruption early, getting them to that top deck point, then K Command having them discard on draw step can be
sure.
extremely
Yeah. I was definitely thinking about something like that as well. I was worried if something like that might be a little bit too slow, but interesting hands. Well, another high upside hand. If we were to hit a second land, we're on the draw. If we don't hit the second land, so let's see. Let's think about damage. So this is 3. We can bolt ourselves for 6. If we draw another fetch land, that's 3, 6, 9. And we can Death Shadow on turn 2. Any strong feelings about this hand, one way or the other? Is this high upside enough to try to keep and spike the second land?
I would prefer a hand with like some form of hand disruption.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like obviously the upside is really high if you do hit the second land in one of your first 2 draws.
Yeah, one Morgan. I think that's reasonable. I mean, yeah, I think we keep this. We're gonna bottom a Lightning Bolt because a Bolt can't answer a Dryad. Fatal Push and Dismember maybe can. If we hit a Shadow, we don't really want this Dismember. Potentially. Or maybe we bottom a Dismember? I'm actually really not sure what the bottom is here for this one.
I think I would bottom the bolt.
The bolt? Okay. Gotcha. Alright, let's see what their opening is. Okay, suspend search for tomorrow. Gotcha.
Like,
All
if
right,
you really
Dust Shadow.
need to get a Shadow online, there's always the line of, like, dismember your own bow mat, hold priority, crack the bow mat, or something.
Gotcha.
Like, you can go cast Death Shadow while you're above 13 life, hold priority, dismember the bow mat courier, hold priority, crack it.
That's the big brain line for sure. That's pretty cool. So, funny enough, like, Sakura Tribe Elder just as a target for the Dismember would be kind of cool. Just going to suspend another search, sure. In that case, okay, we'll see what we draw. A Bolt. So if I shock down to 15 and I bolt myself and play a Shadow, is that something that we're interested in? Because then we have the whole Dismember stuff going on next turn that we can potentially get into. I think I like that, right? Because we're just trying to straight race here.
Right.
So we're going to go to combat first. I guess that doesn't play around them having a lightning bolt very well.
It's kind of a situation where if your opponent has got a card like Lightning Bolt in post board, or especially a card like Anger of the Gods or something like that,
that'd be pretty good against us.
it could certainly be punishing here, but those are cards that on average are not going to be good in the matchup. So if you're hedging on them having something like Lightning Bolt or not, I would usually go with the latter, assuming that your opponent is boarding correctly.
Yep, they have Anger.
Yeah. Like, there's going to be that number of games they have something like that. Doesn't mean that it's correct to play around it, because it's not a card that's typically going to be good for them.
Okay, interesting. All right, yeah, I mean, definitely that Anger ended up being really, really good for them. And now we are looking at, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. They can go land Primeval Titan, obviously be pretty good. Dryad, 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, another land here is a Valakut trigger. So I think they just target Swift Spear. And if they have land to finish things out, they will kill all our threats. And then looks like they don't, which is pretty good for us. Bobble is actually kind of cool because now we have Revolt for the Fatal Push on the Dryad. But I'm going to bobble them first, seeing what they're drawing, and then maybe we can make a more informed decision here. Okay, they're drawing Primeval Titan. So we're probably dead here. But I'm going to save a little bit of life. Fatal Push the Dryad. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe something weird will come about, but I'm not holding my breath here because, right, Prime Time will grab 2 lands. They got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need 5 other lands. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, so that should 2 triggers.
They could get greedy and get Valakut plus Mountain.
Yeah, and that would give us outs here.
Yeah. But if they just get Mountain,
Right.
it's kind of rough.
Right. Yep, just grab Mountain. Yeah, so we are going to take a draw step and then most likely concede, but we will see what we draw into.
Always bash it, see if they block.
Right, exactly. So we can do this. We can Bolt Dismember. That will take us down to 2, and so any mountain will kill us. But, yeah, so that basically means no draw of theirs we can beat. I could...
Third Valakut,
Second...
second Valakut.
Oh, draw just second Valakut? Okay, sure.
Dryad.
Basic Forest.
Basic Forest. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think... So I'm just trying to think of, like, if I can Bolt Primetime attack, sack Bowmat. If I just draw the second bolt, then we can painlessly kill the Primetime, but I don't think that makes much of a difference in terms of our outs here. I think we're just dead, so... whatever. Alright, fetch land should do it. Maybe they target our Bowmat Courier. I doubt it. Cool. Alright, going on to game 3. And again, just in this kind of a matchup, being on the play is pretty big. Because as you can see, we're pretty well just racing our opponent. Anger of the Gods. Yeah, it doesn't really make me change anything here. So I'm just going to run it back. Most definitely not a matchup for Cleansing Wildfire. A little bit part of why sometimes Cleansing Wildfire can be a little bit not where you want to be. Okay, so what does this hand do? You got Swift Spear, double Thoughtseize. And then if we hit a land, the Scourge is probably live. I really like that there's double Thoughtseize in this hand and a threat. Is it worth taking the risk? I think so. I think I might keep this hand unless anyone else feels like this is a huge mistake.
I'm in for it.
You're in for it?
Definitely feel right, but I'm in for it.
Cool. Yeah, I'm down. Well, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's literally probably makes no difference. But I think I might enjoy losing to a hand like this a little more than anything else. Because like it feels like we try to put ourselves in a great position, and then like, oh well, we got greedy and kind of got punished. Then you're like, ah, okay, you got me. So if we don't hit it, I don't think. I think I'm still making the same decision every time because of just honestly for me, it's the double Thoughtseize because that potentially can really cripple your opponent. Who's playing a deck that plays just a whole lot of lands and light on spells, but their spells are really big impact. All right, so just let's see how lucky we are. All right, it's okay because it's coming up next. Okay, so we definitely take the Obstinate Baloth. All right, so I'm just going to take Dryad here because it's the lowest CMC of the cards we're looking at, and then we have plenty of time. Let's say even if we hit land next turn, want to play the Scourge of the Skyclaves, we can, and then we can Thoughtseize the turn after that to grab the Primeval Titan. Cool. All right. Awesome. That's really good for us.
So, are you planning on scourging here after your opponent showed Anger of the Gods game 2?
Well, I think I want to hit them with some Monastery Swift Spear via 4/4. Yeah. But I'll definitely go to combat first and attack to play around Lightning Bolt here. Because if I played Scourge pre-combat, they could bolt it before they take any damage. Yeah, honestly, another fetch land. It's a little greedy, but if I can get one more fetch land deck, then I can have Revolt for their Obstinate Baloth and the Fatal Push.
You're actually presenting lethal right now.
Oh, am I really? Okay,
Yeah,
sorry. Hold on, don't say anything.
You down.
Don't say anything yet. Wait, really? I can deal 16 here? Okay, so let me think. I Thoughtseize, and I go to 10. This is exciting. So then I bolt them, and then they go to 13. And then Swift Spear has 2 prowess triggers. Oh, wait. Oh, then I have a 7? No, I'm only dealing 10, right?
Right. Order of operations is off.
Okay, gotcha. I was about to get really excited there. Thankfully, we drew the Dismember, so that was a really good draw for us, because now we can just go ahead and put in max damage, and, yeah, hit him for 10, down to 3. And then they're in a whole lot of trouble here. Yep, Windswept Heath. Crack it. Let's see. Engineered Explosives on 2. Okay, no, they just have Obstinate Baloth. Shrinks our Scourge a little bit. Or no, it doesn't, because we're the one with the higher life total, but we just get to show them Dismember. And we're definitely not going to slow roll it. If they have Slaughter Pact, they die on their upkeep to the Pact Trigger. Okay, cool. Alrighty. Sweet. Alright, let's keep trucking along. This is going to be our longest video yet, but that's okay. It's funny, I wouldn't expect this deck to be the longest video, because we're already up to an hour and 20 minutes, and most of my other videos have been an hour and a half. I'm only through 3 games, but I guess some of those Elves games were a little bit of a grind. And as you can tell, we've gone to 3 games every single match. And I was lucky in those other matches that we had a lot of 2-0s and 0-2s to kind of keep the pace of the video going. So, all right, sweet. We're going to hop right into the next match. And we're up against Gazmon48, which is a name I recognize, but I don't know what kind of decks they play. This hand looks really solid to me. We have a really, really just solid kind of Rakdos Prowess hand here. And maybe if they're on some kind of creature deck, the Seal of Fire, we might be able to do something with our Luris, which would be pretty cool. Luris has yet to make an appearance in our matches so far. But I think I'm happy just leading on Swiftspear, play the Bauble. I have no reason to crack it yet, so I'm just going to attack and then pass. Let's see what we're up against. All right, fair enough. Expedition map. So our 4 Cleansing Wildfires in the sideboard are going to be pretty huge here. We're going to go ahead and bauble them so that we are drawing closer to some more effective threats, and then our Thought Seize is more informed when we do fire it off. All right, Bomat Courier, Inquisition of Kozilek. Yep, so we're just going to Thought Seize over Inquisition. If we had double black, it would be less punishing to go lead on an Inquisition, but I think leading on Thought Seize is better because if they've already gone land map, the likelihood that there's a 3-drop or less that we really care about is fairly low here. And we're going to instead see if we can't punch a hole in their hand with this Thought Seize. Keeping in mind that the Karn's on its way next. Alright, so they have Power Plant Mine Tower, so they have Natural Tron, so they don't need this anyway. They are drawing into the Karn the Great Creator, but they already have it in hand. They don't have a green source to cast this Ancient Stirrings, and they're not drawing into one. I don't know if we're ever beating a Karn, but I don't know if we're beating an Ugin either. So this one might be already all she wrote, or already in the books, whatever the folksy phrase is. But if they weren't drawing into the Karn, I would snap off this Karn here and hope to get lucky. Yeah, we seem to be in a lot of trouble here. Take the Ugin, trust, our opponent says. Yeah, I'm not seeing any reason to take one card or the other. I think we've lost this one. But what could potentially get us out here? If we, like, what, double runner Thought Seizes? Okay, so we're going to have to play for Thought Seize, top deck Thought Seize, top deck Thought Seize. Unless, Mike, are you seeing anything else here? Like, we have to play for Thought Seize, right?
Yeah. And if you're playing for Thought Seize, then I think taking the Karn and then hitting the second Karn is better.
Right.
Obviously not by some, like, wide margin, but,
right.
But more than likely, if they crack this map, it's going to be to get, like, a blast zone.
Sure. Okay, so this goes on to 14. This takes, then we can Seal Fire ourselves to go to 12 and play a 1/1 Shadow. If they Karn for bridge, play bridge. Do we have any outs to that? I don't think so.
You don't go down to 12 off Seal Firing yourself.
Oh, I don't. Okay. Sorry, I did that math too quickly. I go to 15 and then I go to 13. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm pretty good to pack this one in, but maybe our opponent will give us more information here if we keep playing.
Well, if it makes y'all feel any better, Dredge just scooped the match to me after game 1.
So, did we miss a little bit of damage from Inquisition on the stirrings for your prowess?
Yeah,
Reason?
Definitely. Yep. But in Mike Killeley's favorite words in the entire universe, I don't think it's going to matter.
No, I agree. I'm just like...
No, I know. I did that more for the troll. Alright, I grabbed Trinisphere. Okay. So,
I more expected a bridge.
yeah. If we did have that other Thoughtseize, we Thoughtseize the
They were
Ugin.
actually really scared of the Bomat Courier activation.
Okay. So we can kill the Karn, then go to combat. Probably playing to some Fjord outs here. Let's see. Maybe they misclick and concede. They do not. Our Bomat Courier survives. Because it only
Did
kills.
they pay at least 3 for that Ugin? I couldn't tell.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah, they tap 3 lands. They're good.
That's exactly how it works with Tron.
Make sure your phone's not up to anything shady.
Don't want to have to call a judge here. Alright. Opponent ticks up. See, they're going to have to cast Thragtusk. Alright. Okay, we'll pack it in. Alright, cool. So, we go ahead and get to grab some goodies from the sideboard. We grab some Cleansing Wildfires.
Meh.
And some Kolaghan's Command. And... Well, let's hold on. We got to do this right. We got to do this right, y'all. We got to do this right. First, what do we not want? What do we not want? We don't want these Fatal Pushes. I don't think we want the Seal of Fire. And I don't think we want these Dismembers. But let's keep on moving. And then we want to look at what we want to bring in.
I like ramps.
Something like this. I even like Kroxa, just, honestly, just making them discard. I think I like a little bit more than an Angrass Rampage. If we're needing to use the Rampage, it probably means that we're in a position where we're not doing too well. So... Interesting hand. So, obvious pros of this hand. The pros being we got Thoughtseize on turn 1, which sometimes can really cripple them, and we have double Cleansing Wildfire. Cool thing about Cleansing Wildfire is it's a redraw, so it can draw us closer to threats. Otherwise a hand like this isn't having the key part of a Shadow hand, which is threats. That being said, though, Thoughtseize double Wildfire is pretty tempting against a Tron deck. And we have 2 redraws and a Scry with the Polluted Delta. So I think... Oh, no, we don't. If we want a Thoughtseize on 1, we don't have a Scry. Excuse me. Ooh, man, I don't know, Mike. What do you think of a hand like this? I think, this feels like I'm so tempted to want to keep this, but maybe it's the Jund player in me trapping me into wanting to keep a hand like this.
I'd probably keep it, honestly.
Yeah.
You're looking at 3 draws for the second land.
Yeah.
To be able to just start looping these wildfires.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And especially like you're saying, if your opponent mulligans, then being able to take something like a map or something turn 1 and then just start firing off the wildfires can very quickly draw you into a threat.
Gotcha. So we bobbled them and saw a mine. Anyone want to bet if there's Tower Power Plant in hand? Tower Power Plant! I called it! I called it! I called it! Alright, all jokes aside, if
games like this.
if I had $1 for every time this happened on MTGO, I'd be a rich man. Alright, we're gonna take the Worm Coil engine, and then we're gonna bobble them after they've drawn to see what they're drawing after that. Sorry, Guy, what were you saying?
I was just saying, it's games like this where you can really see the difference between skilled Tron players and unskilled Tron
Yeah.
Are you suggesting that our opponent's keep was less than optimal, Guy?
No, they're if you top deck the Tron land every time, you are a skilled Tron.
Oh, gotcha.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And as a skilled Tron player,
Oh,
So-
okay. Now
talent
I understand.
recognizes talent is what I'm saying.
Oh,
I'm
Tal, yeah.
pretty
Real
sure
recognizes
our
real.
opponent messed up by not leading on tower,
Mm-hmm.
not leading on the duplicate piece.
Right. All right. So obviously drawing double threat there was really good for us.
You know, it's funny how you said that you were wondering if the hand was a trap because the jug player and you was tempted to keep it, and like my inclination was to keep it. I'm like, oh jeez.
Oh jeez. So yeah, right. Okay, so let's maths a little bit here. I'm going to play the silent clearing. I know it's probably better to draw first than see what we draw, but I would like to keep up a red, potentially if we want to fire this lightning bolt off. We're most certainly starting here. We're getting the power plant, as Mike astutely pointed out. They have the redundant tower in hand,
Double tower.
so we got to keep that in mind. We just hit a mountain, so if we bolt now, I think that's just a good effective use of our mana. If we're having to use this bolt at a future turn, just don't like that very much, because I like getting the guaranteed 9 damage here. It means that we have a lot of live top decks between our top deck and then what we draw off Cleansing Wildfire to potentially be able to kill them.
Right. So Bolt gives you these backdoor outs of not only is another Bolt lethal, but like a Battle Rage now is lethal off the top.
Gotcha. Yep. Well said. Well
Cool.
said. Cool. And okay, Scourge is not bad if we don't hit exactly what we need off this Wildfire here. We're gonna go ahead and hit the mine again, keeping in mind there's the other tower in hand. We don't want to risk anything here if we have the opportunity to do something about it. Okay, no land, but we are going to fetch. That doesn't matter. Let's go to combat first. Guess. What are our opponent's outs? I don't think it matters, so maybe Mike will point out some kind of niche thing I'm not noticing here by going on Mountain versus Arid Mesa here. But I'm not 100% sure that there is one. Okay, they just scoop it up. They don't take a draw step. Cool. So, honestly, that felt a little bit like the way things it may have gone on the play. Now, on the draw, I think we have a bigger challenge ahead of ourselves. A hand that I kept there may not be enough on the draw. I'm not sure, but it's definitely a lot more sketchy. But yeah, we're going to just run it back and see what we're able to pull off here. You know what's funny about what Guy said too about a skilled Tron player puts the other Urz's tower piece or whatever I'm trying to say on top, is that there was actually a famous Tron player who got caught doing that and was kicked off or banned from playing Magic. So it's funny enough about what Guy said there. Okay, so what's to like about this hand? That's true. I haven't got you yet. What I like about this hand a lot is that we have turn 1 threat, which I think is so important in this matchup. We also have a Cleansing Wildfire, and we have a really, really good threat in Death Shadow and some card advantage in Night's Whisper. So I like this hand quite a bit, actually.
That looks good.
Yeah, obviously Thoughtseize is what we'd want here. Okay, that's actually pretty good, because that's a prowess trigger, extra draw. We get information about what our opponent is drawing into.
Your opponent's got natural Trons.
Right, true. I mean, that was a given. So, you know.
Right, they've proven that they have it hacked.
Right. They've hacked the mainframe.
Right.
All right, they're drawing into a Worm Coil engine, so hopefully they give us some more info. Our opponent kept 7, which is definitely always scary, especially when they do.
He's always, come on.
I know we good, because we've got this Cleansing Wildfire. That's why we play it. We're not playing any
Anytime
games.
your opponent goes Tron land go.
Right.
Like they've got natural Tron.
Right. So they're gonna go ahead and Spatial Contortion. Yeah. Our opponent definitely is riding a high right now, and you know you can't really you can't hate it too much because You know, when you ride that high playing Magic, it's pretty incredible. All right, they got that Sylvan Scrying. Sounds good. They grabbed another power plant. They're going to play another power plant, and we're about to Thoughtseize them, and hopefully we hit a land so we can Thoughtseize Scourge. Land? Okay, cool.
Nice.
Sometimes you summon it to the top of the deck. Cool. So if I Thoughtseize off of this Silent Clearing, we go to 13, and we can play a Shadow next turn. So I'm definitely interested in that. Let's see what our opponent has. They have Power Plant, Tower in hand, Mine here. So we got to take the Worm Coil Engine here. Unfortunately, they have the Oblivion Stone to go ahead and crack. We have the K Command, though, but they do have the mana to go ahead and play O-Stone and be able to crack it right away. So that's definitely unfortunate.
Do you not play into it and just play like Night's Whisper or something?
I think I want to force them to use their cards because I don't think that we're in that position to be able to play that kind of a game. Every draw step that passes with our Tron opponent, well, especially this Tron opponent, you know, the worse that it gets, right? So they play the Tower, they play the O-Stone, and then O-Stone says all non-land permanents, so unfortunately this time the Bomat Courier, our beautiful Bomat Courier, will not survive the Wrath. That's a very good draw. So what we're going to try to do here is we're going to attack. Hopefully it incentivizes them cracking this O-Stone. I think if their mind's in the right place, they should not do anything. They should just tank this attack. Okay, that's what they do. All right, definitely great move by our opponent. I like that a lot. I'm going to go ahead and...
You go for a power plant again, right?
Correct. We know mine's in hand. We blew up another power plant. It's not going to make any difference if they have a way of searching it, but it might make a difference for random draws percentages wise.
Yeah, in terms of like minimal probability, but still is a difference.
So hopefully this incentivizes them to maybe they crack O-Stone here.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that.
Yeah.
Fantastic if they do.
Right. Let's see what we draw into. Okay, a Courier. Let's see if we can get them and play a Courier.
What I would have done is your opponent has to use this mana before you passed your end step.
Oh, okay.
Let them crack the O-Stone, then you can play the Shadow before you pass the turn.
Okay. That makes sense.
Interesting.
Looks like we top decked another Sylvan Scrying. Cool. But we know their hand is Mine Blast Zone, so they're just going to be grabbing Mine Tower. So they're just going to grab a power plant. Cool. So yeah, so our opponent's drawn exceptionally, but you know, again, oh, I mistracked their hand. They have one more unknown. Oh, they just have an expedition map to really show us that our land destruction doesn't matter. All right, we got to get lucky. That's for sure. Oh, they have Blast Zone though for this. Okay, yeah, this is getting pretty rough. All right, so Night's Whisper probably. What was that, Mike? Were you saying something?
I don't want to give too much or
Give too much. Okay.
take over the plays too much.
No. What were you thinking? I was going to ask for your opinion.
Night's Whisper.
Yeah.
like,
Okay.
100% right here.
Yeah. Cool.
Play it, take over the plays, dude.
Okay, actually, Kroxa's really exciting.
Kroxa.
I think we're just
I
going to
like
Kroxa, and I think we're going to have to hope to fade a top deck. A couple top decks,
Sure.
obviously, but I think this is the play for me. Because playing out a 1-drop is not going to accomplish much in the face of a Blast Zone. We discard the Mine. We're going to pass it to
No, I
them.
really like Kroxa because it doubles up on both pressure and disruption.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes that really early Kroxa can really do it. All right, cool. They grab a Sanctum Vugan. I like that play from our opponent. That means that any top deck here is going to be almost guaranteed lethal. Looks like they did top deck. They top decked the best card they could. So we're going to go ahead and concede in the face of our opponent who has bested us, and we're going to move on to game 5 or match 5. Okay, cool. All right, let's see if we can have a fast match 5. I would really rather not crack the 2-hour mark on this video. We're already an hour and 40 minutes in. So let's see if we can't knock out a quick game here and then wrap things up. So, Mike, let's reiterate on that one turn there, and I want to make sure that we're clear in understanding because it revealed that I didn't understand something about both Magic and MTGO. If I say pass on my end step there, if they let the mana go away, do I still get priority to cast something then in my
No.
second main? Okay.
No, you don't. So
Okay.
a phase doesn't actually end until both players, starting with the active player, pass priority in order.
Mm-hmm.
So when you've got floating mana like that, it's going to leave the mana pool if it's not used before the end of the phase. So if you pass priority on your side and your opponent chooses to use that mana at that point, since that's not both players passing priority in order, that means you regain priority again and you get a chance to play a spell before passing again or attempting to pass again.
Gotcha.
But if they choose not to crack that O stone and just let the mana fizzle, then that's just the end of the turn, move on. But if your opponent was floating the mana there, not just off of the power plant that you blew up, but also the mine, then the assumption can likely be made that they're intending to crack the O stone.
Mm-hmm.
So if you pass the priority there, let them crack the O stone, regain priority, play out the shadow, that gives you a better threat going into the next turn.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So basically, okay, obviously I didn't mean to pass priority there. Basically what you're saying then, and I'm sorry if I misunderstood, but you basically just said that like if they were to crack it, then I could then cast a spell. I would have priority back in my second main.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Correct.
That makes a lot of sense. Cool. Okay, cool. So we're in our last and final match. Unfortunately, it's already looking pretty grim for us. We're up against a matchup or a deck that likes to prey on decks like ours. Just heavy removal and efficient threats. Rakdos Midrange looks like what we're up against. And so I think the best situation for a deck like this is we're going to try to drain them of all their resources and then try to attempt to put Lurrus into hand and try to run away the game there. We have to be a little bit careful with that because we don't want to put Lurrus in hand and get caught out by like a Thoughtseize from them. But I think throwing our creatures away into these known removal spells is really important.
Wow, Mard.
Because then... they're Mardu. Very cool. Very, very cool. All right, Mardu's a really fun color pairing. Obviously, one of the biggest and saddest victims of bannings was Mardu. So this guy's a 6/6. So we need to... we definitely need a top deck and answer here because we will die to this guy. Looks like we don't. Let's see if we draw anything on our main phase here. We draw the Fatal Push. Very nice. Exactly what we needed. We can move on with with the game here. Let's see. So they've got 3 lands. Okay, they got a Channeler. Thankfully, the Channeler's not a 4/4 yet. We should know their hand is a Lightning Bolt. So yeah, we're both just kind of in top deck mode here. And I think... Okay, yeah, I was going to say, if we just draw a land, I think we're going to use this opportunity to put Lurrus into hand. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a swamp here. Basically, putting Lurrus into hand now is our most... first of all, it's efficient use of our mana. Second of all, we know their hand is just a bolt. Oh, I got totally blown out here because I played incorrectly. But hopefully we can try to salvage this by landing our Lurrus and not having it die. But yeah, that was really cool. I should have just stopped and thought there for a second before I flew into my turn there. I was really rushing. But yeah, obviously, as we can see, the opponent was able to grow. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now they get the Stone Forge. I'm sure they're going to grab an equipment that's going to do pretty well against us here. So obviously, we're looking for an answer to this equipment or to the Stone Forge Mystic. That plains... Oh, that's what they discarded. Gotcha. So yeah, so they got a Sword of Feast and Famine. Obviously, a pro-black, pro-green's pretty good against us. Let's see what we draw into. Just another land. So what are our options? We can Lurrus Swift Spear. We can Lurrus Bauble. It feels to me that Lurrus, unless they're playing Liliana of the Veil, Lurrus Bauble feels better because we just need more cards right now. So what we can do is we can Bloodstain Mire. and we can Lurrus bobble, and we can bobble ourselves and fetch it away if we don't like the top card with this Bloodstained Mire, if we so choose. We're just going to go ahead and pass to them first and see what they do with their turn. Let's see, cards that we're looking for. Honestly, just removal spells for these creatures, because with this sword, the sword's going to be doing a lot of work against us here. Let's see, it's just a 2-turn clock with the sword. So yeah, so maybe we were supposed to Swift Spear as a chump blocker for this equipped up Magmatic Channeler. But we're going to go ahead and discard this Blood Crypt. Oh, and then they're going to untap. See if they have anything pretty good here. Yeah, and I guess we just don't really have an answer to this now, so maybe I should have been thinking a little bit more. We're just going to, I guess we'll take a draw step. I'll bobble myself, but yeah, we're pretty dead. Okay, we're drawing a Verdant Catacombs. We don't want that. Just get a top Blood Crypt. And again, I don't think we have outs, but we will see. Polluted Delta, Swift Spear. So if I double Swift Spear, then I have 2 chump blockers. So I believe we got to do what we got to do. And then we can just Polluted Delta pass. This Polluted Delta does not fetch anything because we only have 1 swamp and 4 blood crypts, so we can see that's all accounted for. So that Polluted Delta is just a dead card. But, I don't know, maybe it has some value later on down the road, I'm not sure. So we hit another Channeler.
Trigger Revolt.
Yeah, maybe to trigger Revolt, sure. Okay, and they should just attack with this Channeler, I believe. They don't attack. Huh. Interesting. We're going to go ahead and draw a card here. Thoughtseize is not what we were looking for. Scourge of the Skyclaves is fine. So we're going to go ahead and bobble off of this Lurrus here. And we're going to get Scourge down. And pass turn. I'm going to save this bobble because most likely with double Channeler here, we're going to be seeing what they draw. Yeah, land. Lightning Bolt's another Channeler, so I think they should just... Oh yeah, they just bolt our Lurrus. No, of course. That makes sense.
Face.
Our bolt face, we're at 3 life. Yeah, yeah. Cool. Oh my god, I hit concede when he bolted the... Wow. Shoot. They totally bolted our Lurrus. Wow, we should not have conceded.
What?
Oops.
I'm surprised by that.
Uh-oh. I was about to not concede, you guys. No. Okay. Not that it would make a difference. Yeah, yeah. We were just drawing blanks anyway.
Oh, no.
Alrighty, so that was fun. So cool. So here's a good place for Kroxa to maybe shine in a kind of resource exchange back and forth. Soul Guide Lantern's interesting. I think if it was Nile Spellbomb, I might be interested. That being said, they have Kroxas of their own that feel like must answers. Angrass Rampage is a good out to the powerful equipment they'll be bringing in against us. So I do like that. Against a deck like this, I like to treat it a little bit like a Jund Mirror, in the sense that I maybe want to cut down on a little bit of hand disruption here. So I can trim on some Thoughtseizes. I think those maybe not too good. And then also we can trim on Temur Battle Rage because they're very heavy. They're very removal heavy. And so Temur Battle Rage can be a big liability in a mashup like that.
What about Seal?
Seal can pick off tokens and the Pyromancer, but maybe that's not worth it. So maybe Thought seizing away something important is better. Yeah. Yeah, I could get behind cutting a Seal here. That seems reasonable. All right, let's run it back. Let's see if we can catch some better luck here in Game 2. Well, if we never hit the second land, obviously it's really bad, but I actually kind of don't mind a hand like this, a hand with just a lot of threats on the play. We have 3 one-drop threats we can play, and hopefully a 4th not too far down the road. I'm actually going to keep a hand like this. We've got a redraw with Bobble. Yeah, I actually think this is not too bad. So I'm going to go ahead and keep. And we're just going to go Canyon. Maybe Bomat Courier has the potential to survive down the road. No, I think it's better just to be able to connect with the Courier while you can. Yeah, I think that's fine. And we're going to save the Bobble for some prowess triggers. Unless we need to draw the land. Yeah, I think we do need to draw the land, so never mind. I take that back. I'm all over the place right now. I keep going back and forth in my decisions.
Thinking on the fly.
Thinking on the fly, I guess, yeah. Alright, so they're drawing into Thoughtseize. We're definitely getting Thoughtseized here. Cool, so they're going for the fetch. And, hey, Thoughtseize means that we get to connect with Bomat Courier again, so that's nice. They say if you hit your opponent with a Bomat Courier at least 5 times, you just win the game. That's just the rules of Magic, you know? We'll see how they're looking at her hand. If I was them, I might just take a Swift Spear here. Obviously, K Command's good. Okay, well, they're really respecting the K Command there. They're respecting that we're going to draw the land. The lands. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, right. Looking towards a longer game here. Alright, cool. So we're just going to go ahead and put out a Swift Spear. Go ahead and get in with our boys and girls, excuse me. Miss Taylor Swift here. They play Marsh Flats. Let's see, if they're needing a red source, they should have probably Flats last turn for the swamp. And then they maybe could have Bloodstained Mire for the red source. But maybe it may not matter. Okay, this is really nice, actually, that we got this double bolt going on. And they didn't see the bolts when they thought seized us, so they're gonna just try to go for the high up side of the batter skull. Yeah, that's pretty good. So land here would be excellent. It is not a land. Okay. They're at 8. That might count for something. They're at 8.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, especially if we hit this land. Let's see, do they have?
So we haven't seen souls, but do we consider
K
return?
I don't think off of the suspicion, and especially because K return's such a dead card. Otherwise, all right. So
Okay.
fetch land would be truly chef's kiss here.
Yeah, check the fetch lands.
Not a
That's
fetch
not
land.
a fetch land.
So we're just gonna play a Swift Spear and pass. Yep. The God of Death is coming for us.
I suppose Egan, however it's pronounced, is probably in a soul spot.
It might be, yeah. I don't know. I haven't seen, outside of our good friend Fjord, I haven't seen too much of Lingering Souls these days. But
Yeah, sure.
we got the land. Oh, it's not a fetch land. We can't trigger Revolt. That's a bummer. Let's see. So they have... What I might do then... I really want to take care of this Channeler, though. So if I shock to 14, this is 13. Yeah, Rampage, they would probably just sack the Channeler, right? So I'm going to try to play... So I'm going to go ahead and go like this. We're trying to get our Death Shadow online. I don't want them to have more card selection with the Channeler, so I think this is a pretty important thing to kill here. Additionally, if they have a removal spell, then we get to Fatal Push this. Because they'll give us Revolt by killing a creature.
Oh, sure. That's wild.
Sword of Feast and Famine, very cool. Awesome. So we potentially have a great turn here. If they've been sandbagging a removal spell, that's kind of cool, actually. I kind of respect that. Oh, okay. Huh. Okay, now we can save the Rampage, because now we can play a big Death Shadow. Yeah, I'm definitely interested in that. Cool. Oh, what am I doing? He's a 6/6. Oh, I'm losing it, y'all. I'm completely losing it. I'm sure. I bet Mike is either cringing super hard or he's just not watching right now. So he's like,
Oh,
I
I'm
couldn't look
watching.
at. All right, I kind of.
I'm watching.
All right. Oh man. Yeah, I feel like maybe I hope yeah. Maybe I've stopped caring or something. That was
So,
really dumb, but okay.
You have a really cool chance to just salvage this by attacking all they don't block. You just throw a fatal push at the Egon and deal 7.
Yeah, true. And then if they remove something, then yeah.
Yeah, if
But
they block something,
so
you
if they
just play
block,
the
you still
shatter.
get.
Right. This is hilarious. Okay, they do. They go ahead and assign the block. Oh man, that was so funny. And they could totally tell. The most hilarious part about it is they could totally tell that like I had blundered, because like I just paused for a really long time.
I mean,
Alright,
it
cool.
didn't end up getting you punished, but
Yeah,
you also skipped through playing the Shadow last turn.
gotcha.
Oh man, got there. Maybe. No, no, actually, whatever the force of despair wouldn't give it any.
Slaughter packs, I think is the one they would need.
Oh yeah, slaughter pack. That's what I was trying to think of. Something. Just
Oh man, that was
kind of deal. Like
that was pretty funny. All right, cool. So we'll try that one. We're gonna give that a little better shot. This last and final game here. Game 3 here on the draw against Rakdos with Rakdos. Oh no, I'm sorry, against Mardu with Rakdos. And yeah, let's see what we can get done here. So this hand, yeah, so I haven't voiced too many of my concerns about Scourge yet, but a hand like this kind of highlights it a little bit in my opinion. So a hand like this with no turn 1 creature to try to enable Scourge is a little rough, but I think I'm going to keep this because our opponent has shown a proclivity for dealing themselves a lot of damage because they're a 3-color Mardu deck. So I'm going to keep this on the basis of that. And hopefully these Dismembers and Bolts find good targets. So they have the Thought Seize turn 1. Yep. And also just kind of everything being underscored by a reluctance to mulligan in a matchup like this, where our opponent is on a very grindy hand disruption removal spell based hand. Sometimes just being able to weather the storm, so to speak. Through that. All right, that was a very good draw for us. We get to be able to fire right back at them. Cool. We're definitely taking the Seasoned Pyromancer. It's the best part of their hand by quite a lot. We're going to remember that we can't dismember the Egon.
right.
But what we can do is play a turn 2 Scourge of the Skyclaves. If they've drawn a Lightning Bolt, then that is definitely unfortunate. But if we're able to connect with the Scourge, that'd be pretty cool. Okay, cool. Very cool, playing the Triomes there. Okay, back to my opponent's turn. Let's see if they have to Sunbake Canyon, making this a 4/4. No, they drew a Swamp. Okay. So we know 2 cards are Ember Cleave and Sunbake Canyon. Okay, it's not too good. So let's see. Ember Cleave's a 6-drop. That's reduced by the number of attackers that you have. Meaning that If they have the 4th land drop, then they'll have this to reduce it by 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So they will be 1 off from casting the Embercleave next turn. So with that being said, I think I'm fine just putting Luris into hand, actually.
So, can I make a?
Yeah, no, Mike. That's why I have you here, is for you to comment. You know, if I didn't want the commentary, I would definitely just done this all on my own. So please feel free. I hope I haven't made it feel like you can't comment. So.
I think you might be overthinking it here. You
Okay.
could just double dismember the Egon, bolt face, hit for 6, and present like lethal next turn if they don't deal with the Scourge.
Okay.
And then
I like that
next turn, if they do have an answer for it, you could add Luris to your hand, perhaps Luris for Scourge the turn after.
Gotcha. Cool.
Neat.
Very neat. Yeah, no, that again, like we were just having that chat about, like the most straightforward line is sometimes the best, and so making your opponent have it, especially if they crack. Yeah, looks like they're looking for an answer. Wow, Mike! Thank God we have Mike here. I owe Mike whatever the equivalent of a chest is, because I thought this was for sure going to be a 2-3. So I'll get Mike a beer, maybe a cheap beer or something. But much appreciated, Mike. Thank you for that shout there.
I love how you specified a cheap.
As long as it's not Milwaukee's best.
Well, that's not Milwaukee's best. Okay. Everyone, if you're still hanging out, thank you so much for sticking through that. I know that was a long video, and I know that some aspects of that was not for the best content, you know, but I definitely felt like I learned a lot, and especially huge shout to Mike here and everyone else that was hanging out. Huge help, and I'm super excited for tomorrow, because tomorrow we're going to be doing a wild or random build of Death Shadow. So something off the beaten path. We kind of get to just, like, you know, maybe just relax and have some fun tomorrow. So maybe, who knows, maybe we'll go crazy. Maybe a little Orzhov, maybe a little Esper Shadow, you know, something really weird and off the beaten path. I'm super excited for it. I hope y'all are too, and I will see you tomorrow.